What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we need to talk about something that might sound absolutely insane at first, but hear me out because there's actually a case to be made here. I'm talking about bringing Kenley Jansen back to the Dodgers. Now, before you click off this video or start typing angry comments, just give me a chance to explain why this could actually make sense, even though it goes against everything I normally preach about not bringing back former players. You all know my philosophy. I've said it 100 times. You don't reheat McDonald's fries. You don't put nachos back in the microwave. Once a player leaves, you move on and find the next thing. That's been my stance forever, and I still believe in that philosophy for the most part. But Kenley Jansen might be the rare exception, and here's why. If the Dodgers were to bring him back, it would have to be with a very specific understanding of what his role would be. He's not coming back to be the guy. He's not coming back to be the savior of this bullpen or the answer to all their late inning problems. That ship has sailed. Kenley is 38 years old, and while he can still pitch, he's not the dominant force he was during his prime years in Los Angeles. But if he's willing to come back on a team-friendly deal, if he's willing to accept a reduced role and just be one piece of the puzzle rather than the centerpiece, then yeah, I think there's value in bringing him back. The key word there is role. Kenley cannot come in expecting to be the closer night in and night out. He cannot be the guy the Dodgers rely on to slam the door shut in every high-leverage situation. If that's what this is, then it's a mistake. But if he's willing to be a veteran presence, someone who can eat innings, someone who can step up when needed but isn't carrying the weight of the entire bullpen on his shoulders, then I think it could work. The Dodgers need bodies in that bullpen. And if Kenley is willing to give them a hometown discount because he wants to finish his career where it all started, then that's a conversation worth having. Now, let's be real about what Kenley Jansen is at this stage of his career. Some people out there are trying to argue that he's still a top 5 closer in baseball, that he's better than Ryan Helsley or Devin Williams or David Bednar. That's just not true. I don't care how many saves he converted last year. If you actually dig into the numbers and look beyond the surface level stats, it's pretty clear that Kenley is not the same pitcher he was 5 or 6 years ago. He's not elite anymore. He's still good, and he can absolutely help a team win games, but let's not pretend he's still at the peak of his powers. When you pull up his Baseball Savant page, it tells you everything you need to know. There's a lot more gray than red on that page, which means he's average to slightly above average in most categories. His expected batting average is pretty solid, I'll give him that, and his strikeout rate is above average, and his whiff rate is decent. The one thing he does at an elite level is his extension to the plate, which has always been a strength of his. But when you look at the hard hit percentage, the average exit velocity, and his ground ball rate, it's not pretty. He's giving up a lot of hard contact. His average exit velocity allowed is in the 3rd percentile, which is really bad. His hard hit percentage is in the 17th percentile. He's not getting ground balls the way he used to. So while he can still be effective, he's not someone you want leaning on heavily in the biggest moments of the season. That said, I do think there's a version of Kenley Jansen that could still contribute to this team in a meaningful way. He's chasing 500 career saves right now, and he's only 24 saves away from that milestone. That's a Hall of Fame benchmark. Not a lot of relievers make it to Cooperstown, but if you get to 500 saves, you're in that conversation. So Kenley has a very clear personal goal for the rest of his career, and that's to get those 24 saves. Last year with the Angels, he finished with 29 saves. The year before with Boston, he had 27. The year before that, 29 with the Red Sox. So he's averaging close to 30 saves a season when he's in a primary closer role. Here's where it gets tricky. If the Dodgers go out and sign someone like Edwin Diaz, which a lot of people are speculating about, then Kenley's path to 500 saves becomes a lot more complicated. If you're paying Edwin Diaz the kind of money he's going to command, you're giving him the 9th inning. You're handing him the keys and saying, this is your job now, and rightfully so, because Diaz is one of the best closers in baseball when he's healthy. But if I'm Kenley Jansen, and I know that I need 24 more saves to hit that milestone, do I really want to sign with a team where I'm going to be splitting closing duties or pitching in the 7th and 8th innings? Probably not. He's probably going to look for a situation where he can be the primary closer and rack up as many saves as possible before he retires. So that's the dilemma. If the Dodgers bring in a big name closer like Diaz, then Kenley probably isn't interested in coming back because it doesn't help him reach his goal. But if the Dodgers strike out on the top tier relievers, if guys like Pete Fairbanks and Carlos Estevez sign elsewhere and the market dries up, then maybe Kenley becomes a much more realistic option. At that point, the Dodgers might have to pivot and say, okay, we couldn't get the elite closer we wanted, so let's bring back Kenley on a short-term deal and see what he's got left in the tank. If they were to bring him back, I think it would have to be a 2-year contract at an extremely team-friendly number, something that gives him the opportunity to get those 24 saves over the course of 2 seasons while also providing the Dodgers with bullpen depth and veteran leadership. If he's willing to accept that kind of deal because he genuinely wants to finish his career in Los Angeles, then I think it's worth exploring. But it can't be a situation where the Dodgers are relying on him to be the backbone of the bullpen because that's just not realistic anymore. Let's also talk about Blake Treinen for a second because his situation factors into all of this. I have serious doubts about Treinen's ability to stay healthy and contribute at a high level next season. He's dealt with injuries throughout his career, and even when he's been healthy over the last couple years, he's always one pitch away from breaking down again. Can he still be effective when he's right? Absolutely. The stuff is still there. But can you trust him to be available and reliable over the course of a full season? I just don't think you can. So the Dodgers need to plan for the possibility that Treinen either isn't ready to start the year or isn't able to pitch at the level they need him to. That's where having someone like Kenley as insurance could be valuable. At the end of the day, this is a numbers game. The Dodgers need bodies in that bullpen, and they need guys who can get outs in high-leverage situations. Kenley Jansen isn't the dominant closer he once was, but he's still capable of helping this team win games if he's used correctly. The key is managing expectations and making sure everyone involved understands what his role would be. He's not the savior. He's not the answer. He's a veteran who can contribute in the right situations, and if the price is right, that's worth considering. If the Dodgers end up signing Edwin Diaz or another top-tier closer, then this whole conversation is probably moot because Kenley will go somewhere else where he can chase 500 saves. But if the market doesn't play out the way they hope, if the big names go elsewhere and the options start drying up, then bringing back Kenley on a short-term team-friendly deal might actually be the smartest move. It's not the sexy move. It's not the move that's going to get fans hyped up. But it's a practical move that could help stabilize the bullpen and give the Dodgers another reliable arm heading into next season. So, yeah, I'm open to it as long as everyone knows what they're getting into and the expectations are set correctly. I think Kenley Jansen back in Dodger Blue could actually work.